SummerSlam Batman.
That was a fun show.
Yep, that's the whole review. Everybody go home now. I'm done.
Shortest review ever.
I would never do that to you guys. But yeah, welcome back to the channel, everybody. And man, do we have an eventful podcast here for you. We are so over the moon right now. Tomas, how are you feeling right now?
I feel good. This is probably the most ecstatic and the most fun I've had watching a wrestling show, since before this pandemic started. And, so it's been like you said, we don't want to get too much into this, but it's been a rough year for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And, me as a wrestling fan, I had to take a break from watching wrestling because it was just very sad and depressing to see, unfortunately, what we had to have for the time being. But now that here we are, fast forward 6-7 months later, and this is going to be a perfect segue into WWE has introduced the Thunderdome.
The Thunderdome! Oh, man.
To its weekly shows and its pay-per-views. This was introduced last week on Raw. They said that it was going to be a virtual fan experience that's going to make you feel like you were at the show. At this point, Zach, we got to admit, me and you, we rolled our eyes at this. We just thought this was going to be some stupid gimmick.
I just rolled my eyes at the name because I remember that the Thunderdome name was used a lot for an improv game that I played a lot in high school. It was a warm-up game, what we called Thunderdome, and like, I'm not going to get too into that, but I was just like, okay, yeah, they're creating the Thunderdome. But like, there was a viral video that went out on Twitter of their first like unveiling of the inside of the Thunderdome, and I immediately text Tomas. I'm like, dude, you got to look at this Thunderdome thing because it looks freaking awesome. Like,
yeah, and I opted to wait till SummerSlam to see what it looked like. If you had not seen the show yet, let us describe what Thunderdome is. Basically, WWE is at which arena again?
The Amway Center in Orlando.
They are at the Amway Center in Orlando, and they are back in a standard arena with the standard setup, with the standard ring. So it looks more not so claustrophobic as it was at the Performance Center. And surrounding the ring where the crowd would usually be are tons and tons of monitors, which fans are able to log in through Zoom, and they're able to watch the show and basically be a virtual audience.
Yes. Yeah. No, it's very similar to what the NBA is doing right now with their virtual fans. And I honestly like this layout of the virtual fans better than what the Major League Baseball is doing with the cardboard cutouts. I know a lot of my friends have actually sent in cardboard cutouts to the Giants, but like, I like this layout much better, and they have like a lot more room to do really creative entrances and put in a bunch of pyro, which you see a lot of pyro on this show. The opening pyro looks beautiful here, but yeah, the Thunderdome.
Like I said, since February of 2020 this year, this is the most normal a wrestling show has felt since everything has gone down. And it was just a breath of fresh air. And I knew regardless of the match quality was going to be of some of these matches, I was going to have a good time watching this match because it was a breath of fresh air.
It really was, which brings us into the show, of course, we're talking about tonight, WWE SummerSlam 2020, of course, live from the Thunderdome or the Amway Center. Just getting right into it, spoiler alert, this was my WWE show of the year. That means it's definitely better than the Royal Rumble, for sure. WrestleMania was fun, but this overall, up and down the show, just, man, kudos to WWE. If you had told me that this show is going to be better than TakeOver, I would have said you were crazy, but they did it. This show was freaking awesome.
And considering a lot of us were skeptical about this card going in, we had skepticism saying, why isn't AJ Styles on this show? Why isn't so-and-so on this show? Why aren't there more matches to this? And, I feel like this card, considering what it was given, it delivered very well.
It really did. And I was one of those skeptics. For those of you who follow me on Twitter, I was very vocal about why is AJ Styles versus Jeff Hardy not on this show for the Intercontinental title? And like, I feel like that's the one thing that this show is missing in the long run was that like lower card title match, like on the main card. But I mean, other than that, I really don't have a whole lot of complaints with this show. And we'll of course get into that in just a minute, but yeah, SummerSlam 2020, the kickoff show was actually, it's funny because I actually had to work today. So I actually had the kickoff show, like literally like playing like on my little docket as I was driving home. And right as I get back into town where I am, the kickoff show match comes on. They come out and do their entrances. Apollo Crews versus MVP for the U.S. title. The stipulation is that the Hurt Business is barred from ringside. Did MVP have a new theme tonight, or was I just hearing
He did.
things?
He did. He had a new theme, and it's technically not a new theme. I wanted to point that out. He had this theme for a short time in 2010 before he left the WWE. And I kind of noticed that when he came back, it's like, oh, they probably want to use his old theme because it's a little more iconic. I think here at SummerSlam at the Thunderdome, where everything is kind of changing, I think this was a perfect time to bust out that new theme. And those beautiful new T-shirts that the Hurt Business
The Hurt Business. I want one of those T-shirts. I want to be in the Hurt Business.
WWE is going to do a buy one, get one free sale coming up. I know which 2 shirts I'm going to get. One's going to be the Hurt Business. Another shirt is going to be one I'm not going to reveal right now.
Not yet.
And, you know, not even to give out spoilers.
I'm sure most of you already know what it is already by the time you're watching the video. But yeah, this match really wasn't anything too spectacular. I've seen these guys fight on Raw multiple times already. And the match went around like 8 minutes. Apollo basically wins with a sit-out powerbomb. Hurt Business tried attacking after the match, but Apollo escapes for now. Probably is going to be leading to Apollo Crews versus Bobby Lashley for the title at some point. What did you think of this?
I mean, we have a pay-per-view next weekend, so if they want to book that match for Payback, the Payback pay-per-view, back your title match. Lashley lashes back at Backlash.
What was that joke? What was that joke? Pay back your match? Man, you can tell.
I remember Kayfabe came out with an article, and they said something along the lines of Ryback pays back on Payback pay-per-view, and then they came out with another one that says Lashley lashes back on Backlash pay-per-view. It's just, there's some wrestling tongue twisters for you. Anywho, I will say, it was a pretty standard match. I had some skepticism going into this match just because we've seen it a few times. WWE seems to be they really wanted this match to be on pay-per-view despite despite it being on Raw, despite it supposed to be in Extreme Rules, despite it already being on Raw after Extreme Rules. They were very eminent to like, we're going to have this match on pay-per-view. They did. I'm glad it's out of the way. I really didn't pay too much attention to what was going on in the match because I was still in awe with the Thunderdome. I was too much in awe of like, this looks like a normal WWE show. It looks so good. Yeah. Very colorful. The screens just looked very good. Apollo Crews does win with his Apollo toss. And it was your standard match. I gave it 2.25 stars. Yeah. I'm glad that we're finally going to be moving on from not necessarily Crews versus the Hurt Business, but Crews versus MVP. Nothing against MVP, but I just feel like MVP is more of the manager mouthpiece to this faction, and he needs to be putting over Lashley, Benjamin, put those guys in the spotlight. If you want the title on one of them, it'd make a lot more sense. It'd look a lot better if MVP was the centerpiece of that group. You have Benjamin with the 24/7 title, and you got Lashley with the United States title.
Yeah, so you're saying MVP could be a WWE title contender after all this time?
You definitely could. I would not complain.
Like, Drew McIntyre versus MVP would not be a bad match on the pay-per-view, but, I may be getting a little bit ahead of myself. But in any regard, 2.25 stars, 2.5 stars is as high as I'll go for this match for me. Pretty standard. Seen these guys duke it out a lot on Raw already, but, this is honestly the best mood I've been in after a pay-per-view in a while. So I'm just gonna crack one open real quick. Toast.
Open a cold one with the boys.
Yeah, real quick toast to SummerSlam, and we'll
toast to SummerSlam. H2O.
Yes, absolutely. Here's the spot.
Exactly. I think that's the best way to describe it. I was just in a good mood after this pay-per-view. Like, I'm looking very forward. Going forward, I'm looking forward to it. Like, I'm looking forward to Payback. I'm looking forward to Raw tomorrow night. I'm looking forward to All Out. I'm looking forward to NXT UK. Honestly, like I said, it's the best I've felt in the past 6 or 7 months.
I'm looking forward to SmackDown on Friday night specifically. But in any regard, WWE SummerSlam show kicks off with the first of 2 women's championship matches for the challenger. Bayley defending the SmackDown women's title against Asuka. First note I wrote down was the Thunderdome is gorgeous, looks more normal. Asuka has pyro and Bayley has pyro. Bayley calls Asuka a stupid idiot while she's walking to the ring, and I wrote down, where's Jericho to trademark that?
One thing I have noticed, and this is more eminent in the Sasha Banks and Asuka match. Again, love the Thunderdome, love the crowd noise there, but I also still love that it's quiet enough that you can still hear what people at ringside are saying. You can still hear what the competitors in the ring are saying. It's definitely a perfect mix of what I love about having a live audience and what I liked about it being a little more, a little more intimate. Like, I'm not going to say the Performance Center was all bad. It definitely brought some elements that I really appreciated.
Right.
Like, more intimate setting during pay-per-views. You don't have like those obnoxious fans like yelling stuff out during what's supposed to be a serious promo.
Right. And also where Bayley is talking trash with Michael Cole like she was throughout this entire match. She has Asuka in a rest hold at one point, and I wrote down Bayley's quote, "How many days?"
314 and counting.
Yes, Bayley. Spoiler alert for the winner, but the match is very good. Asuka's working the arm early. Super weird submission early on by Asuka. It looked like an octopus lock almost, but I don't even want to call it that.
Modified like abdominal stretch she was doing.
Yeah, like a modified.
I noticed her
chicken wing.
do that. Yeah. The finish for this match basically comes where Bayley is leaning against the ropes. Asuka goes for a kick, and she nails Sasha Banks. Yes. And then Bayley is able to roll up Asuka for the quick pin there, just for a little bad omen for things to come for Asuka. Bayley retains. It's what I predicted. And, I think looking back on this show, I think I was perfect on all my predictions, despite one match, which I don't think I gave an official prediction for, because I was so torn about it. But we'll get into that when we get into that. Yeah. Bayley retains. I'm glad Bayley retained. It was a pretty good opener. I gave it 2 3/4 stars.
Oh, see, I was a lot more generous. I gave it 3.5 stars. I thought the work in this match
was a decent opener.
It was
definitely a decent opener.
I thought it was a really good opener. Asuka was hitting a code breaker on Bayley. Lots of really good near falls in this match. A sunset flip bomb by Bayley into the turnbuckles, which will be another bad omen for Asuka, and we'll talk about why that is later on. Yes, so Bayley hits a sunset flip buckle bomb, and Bayley goes up top, and she tries the Macho Man elbow drop, but Asuka catches her right into the armbar, which I thought was a really, really clean reversal. They're brawling outside, and exactly to your point, Asuka kicks Sasha right in the head on the distraction. Bayley with a small package gets the 3 count. 3.5 stars. Very good opener. I thought it had a lot of creative moves.
They had good chemistry. I will say that. Bayley and Banks had very good chemistry. It reminded me a lot of Asuka and Becky Lynch from the past couple of Royal Rumbles.
Yeah.
They meshed together very well.
They did.
Or like Ronda Rousey and Sasha Banks from that Royal Rumble as well. I think Becky and Asuka wrestled 2 years in a row, so I have a hard time remembering which one was which, because they were both very solid matches. I know one was for the SmackDown Women's title, and then this past year was for the Raw Women's title.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Bayley and Asuka actually wrestled for the NXT Women's title at TakeOver Dallas, and that's where Asuka started her 510-day reign also. So a nice little callback.
Yes, and that was 2016?
Yep, Bayley finally gets her revenge on Asuka after all this time.
Just in a completely different setting. The roles are reversed. Asuka's more the babyface, and Bayley's more the heel.
Bayley is definitely the heel for sure.
And let's just say again, and if you want to play a drinking game at home, take a shot every time I bring up the Thunderdome.
Yep.
If this wasn't taking place in the Thunderdome, I don't think I would have liked this match as much as I did.
Mm-hmm.
Thunderdome. We're gonna have to. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, down in the comments below, list how many times Tomas said the word Thunderdome in this podcast, and list how many times you've drunk. But anyway, yeah. Also considering the brand orientations where Asuka and Bayley are, which respective shows, the right person definitely went over. I did not want Asuka to win the SmackDown Women's title just to.
Oh no.
Mess
that would
have
created completely. Yeah, that would have created a whole time hole paradoxes. Asuka would have had to do SmackDown. And then, I don't know, Kabuki Warriors win the tag team titles, and then they're on both shows. And trust me, we don't like opening up paradoxes here. Okay.
Wild card, baby.
Oh God.
Yep.
God.
But yeah, after the match, backstage we get Dominik Mysterio with his dad. He asks him not to get involved in the match. This is his business, even though Rey Mysterio is coming down to ringside with him.
Oh yeah, that had me all sorts of confused. And my first thought to that was, okay, so what if Murphy gets involved? Is Ray not allowed to even the odds? Or are you telling Ray don't get involved and beat up Rollins just for the sake of beating him up?
Very
Because
confusing.
I'm just saying,
yeah.
if I had someone in my corner in that match, I'd be like, yeah, you're there to even the odds. Like, don't go and beat up my opponent just for the sake of beating up my opponent. Like,
but Dominic was pretty much asking his dad for a handicap match. I don't know. That was just weird writing, but
it was nice to see Ray's wife. I don't think I've seen her.
Yeah,
since
Angie made an appearance. Yeah,
I don't think I've seen her since. No, I haven't seen her since the CM Punk feud.
Yes, when CM Punk sung "Happy Birthday" to Aaliyah. Yeah, that's right. Oh man.
Yeah, if Dominik is going to be the next WWE champion, let's just say right now, Aaliyah is going to be the next Raw Women's champion. We're going to have Aaliyah Mysterio, Triple H's daughter, Birdie.
Whoa. We're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves here, but in any case,
I know, like 30 years ahead of myself.
Yeah, we also get a video package highlighting the new stable in WWE, Retribution. While I was at work, Tomas and I were texting back and forth about who the fuck is Retribution.
And you know why we were making a joke out of it? Because this faction is a joke. WWE is treating it like a joke.
They're booked like I feel like, I hate to say it, I feel like they did the Nexus better. Like, they're promoting Retribution when I feel like this is a stable that should not be promoted. Like, this is all a mistake.
They are basically saying there is a group of people that are wrecking our performance center. They're basically doing a bunch of illegal stuff, and we're not going to do anything about it, except for on the Go Home SmackDown. The whole roster is going to come fight them off. But you think, okay, I remember when the Nexus debuted, the next episode of WWE Superstars, the commentators were scared. I remember this very vividly. It was Goldust and Mark Henry versus the Usos, and the commentators saying, we're scared. What if the Nexus comes out right now? What do we do?
Yeah.
Like, are the wrestlers going to be prepared to fight them off? Like, I just feel like with Retribution, they don't care.
They're really don't care.
Here, make yourself at home.
Like, here they are. Yeah, Retribution come in and clean house on the performance center.
They
like graffiti the hockey walls.
Yeah, they are masked thugs. They took a chainsaw to the ring. Why aren't you more concerned?
I feel like this is I hate to say it, I feel like TNA did it better with the Aces and Eights. Like,
let's hope WWE can save this before it's dead in the water, but
we were speculating a lot on who is involved with this faction, and I'm curious to know from the viewers, who do you think is involved with Retribution? Voice off down in the comments below. But
not to jump ahead of myself, but I feel like Retribution could have been taken more seriously if they would have ruined one of the world title matches tonight.
Yep, and they certainly didn't. Somebody else ruined the world title match tonight, and we'll get to that. But in any case, before the next match, we also have Kevin Owens making his entrance. I wrote down the quote, "Look at all my friends," in the Zoom windows.
Love that.
I love Kevin Owens so much.
He's probably very happy with the Thunderdome.
Oh, no, he looked like he was like a little kid in the candy store. He looks so excited,
Also, let's point out Owens wearing the Street Profit shirt and wearing a necktie.
Yes, he was on commentary for the Raw Tag Team Championship match, which is coming up next. The champions, the Street Profits, going up against the challengers, Angel, Garza, and Andrade. All four of these guys I love. A grand entrance for the Street Profits with solo cups flying everywhere.
You know what? This is time. It's time to make up for lost time. I feel like this was going to be the Street Profits WrestleMania entrance.
100%, absolutely, yeah.
And it made sense. I loved it. The red solo cups, and there were many red solo cups as well.
Yeah, the only thing I really didn't like about this match was the weird storyline going in with Montez Ford getting poisoned just out of nowhere. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Thankfully, this match did not reflect the storyline because this was a fun match.
It was a good tag team title match, yeah. Montez Ford was definitely intense, starting out with the equally stiff Andrade. Andrade has some of the loudest chops in the entire company. Like, man, super intense start. There's a double flapjack on Angel Garza, who happens to be in orbit. There's a really sick bump when Montez Ford tries a tope con hilo. He's caught by the challengers on the outside, and he's brought down hard to the floor. And here's where I have my first problem with this match. Angelo Dawkins is standing off to the side and cheering on Montez Ford after he was just powerbombed on the floor.
Yeah, where's your tag team partner?
Well, yeah,
You need help.
Where's my homie? You know, like, go and beat up the heels, you know? Don't cheer me on.
Yeah.
Like,
It's the reason why it's 2-on-2.
Yep. Yeah, weird psychology. But other than that, pretty fun match overall. Heat on Montez Ford. Angel Garza throws some of the best drop kicks in the entire company right now. I think I think sky's the limit for Angel Garza. Honestly, I hear the company's really high on him. I can't wait to see where he goes. And same with Andrade as well. Armbar over the top.
I feel like, they're in a weird spot with Andrade and Angel Garza right now because I was discussing this with my other friend before the pay-per-view.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I predict Street Profits for this match because I want the official breakup of Andrade and Garza, like we have talked about. But he said WWE is they don't have tag teams right now, so they got to keep Andrade and Garza together. And it's like, you know what? You could go either way with this right now.
For now.
And
Or you could just go to the well and create a bunch of other random tag teams, or you could have like the Hurt Business go against the Street Profits next. But
because WWE is really good at making random tag teams.
Save it for the 2002 reviews right now. Oh man, I don't want to cry. But in any regard, double. Somebody hit a double hanging foot stomp. It was Andrade that hit that damn double foot stomp. I hate that move.
Oh, you love that move, don't you?
I freaking hate that move so much. Freaking Alberto El Patron used that as his finisher while he was the World Heavyweight Champion, and I always thought that
too much setup goes into that move for it to be a finisher.
Too much setup from the victim. That's what gets me.
It's like, here's my finisher, but it's going to involve me putting my opponent upside down, hooking his legs on the turnbuckle, and I need to methodically climb to the top rope, look at him for a few seconds, and then do it. That's how Alberto did it, at least. I think it worked at least a little better as a double team move like they did it tonight, just because you can have your partner hold your opponent. But no, that thankfully that's not Andrade's finisher.
Oh man, yeah, good God. Thank God it's not Andrade's finisher. But Ford gets the hot tag to Dawkins, who's a house of fire, and Kevin Owens is cheering on the Street Profits, and with the great quote, "I'm wearing your shirt, Dawkins. Keep going." God, Kevin Owens is so funny.
I also loved how Owens gave a shout out to his wife, saying, "Oh, I'm pretty sure my wife is on one of these screens. Hi, honey." See, now your wife can come to every single one of your wrestling shows, and she doesn't need to leave her house in Canada.
Yeah, totally, yeah. But yeah, this match was very, very fun.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I've seen these guys wrestle so many times.
Yeah, the finish for this match where it goes, they knock Zelina Vega off the apron, and Dawkins goes for his powerbomb. Was it just me, or in the background, I noticed Montez Ford climbed to the top rope. He like lost balance. He had to get off the top rope, and then he went back to the top rope and then did his frog splash, which was beautiful, by the way. He like twisted in midair.
He twists in midair with the frog splash.
Please tell me Ford just like got vertigo for a split second, and that's not going to be part of the storyline. I don't want to see that continue.
Me neither. Yeah, to your point, Zelina Vega is knocked off the apron. Andrade checks on her. Angel Garza is pretty much left 1-on-2. There is an excellent flip counter by Montez Ford out of the wing clipper. He landed clean right on his feet. Dawkins hits the cash out, and then the turning frog splash like we just talked about onto Garza for the 3 count. I gave this match 3.25 stars out of 5. I thought it was a fun little tag team title match. I kind of wish it would have went a little bit longer.
Yeah, definitely. I give it around the 3-star mark. I think it was fine lengthwise. Again, it was just it was a standard tag team match. Nothing too special, but at the same time, it wasn't bad. That's one thing. I do have my issues with some matches on the show, but nothing was flat out horrible.
No, nothing was terrible on the show. I mean, I've seen these 2 teams fight countless times on Raw, so it's not like I was seeing anything new per se, but
I feel like they were trying to make up for WrestleMania, because remember this match was supposed to be WrestleMania.
That's exactly
and then it
right.
turned into the random tag team of Garza and Austin Theory.
Oh, you want to talk about random tag teams? Yeah, where's Austin Theory been? But
exactly, yeah. Now he's a disciple of Rollins, and now he's not. So
He's been off
I don't know what
TV
his
for
deal
a
is.
little bit.
I don't know what his deal is, but
I don't know either. But they tease. It looks like they're teasing a breakup of the challengers, which honestly I would not mind because I think Angel Garza would make an excellent babyface. But I don't know. I feel like the company is kind of lacking in top baby faces right now. But in any case, Kevin Owens, after the match, also on commentary invites Aleister Black to the Kevin Owens show tomorrow night on Raw. So we'll see where that
that'll
goes.
be interesting.
We'll see where that goes. With Payback
Yeah.
on the horizon.
We might see an Aleister Black heel turn. I sure hope not, but
I mean, it would be interesting. You know, Kevin Owens and Aleister Black would put on a killer match, I would assume. But
it would.
Yeah,
we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, speaking of interviews, we get Sasha and Bayley backstage. Sasha says, I know I can beat Asuka. And I wrote down at this point, I still hate that a SmackDown wrestler is the Raw Women's Champion, but we'll talk a little bit about that in a little bit. We also get...
How do you feel about that interview setup? I think it's pretty interesting. They're like standing
I think it's
ring.
cool. Yeah, it feels very like late 80s, early 90s. You remember how they would have the interview set up like on the side of the stage, how like Ted DiBiase would have like the $1 Million Challenges like by the entrance.
Yeah. I feel like this is something WWE was playing with regardless of pandemic. I feel like that's something they would do regardless. I just thought it was interesting. I was like, oh, this might be their permanent setup for interviews, considering that maybe they're tired of the studio setup. You know, they're doing some different things. So
switch it up a little.
Again, there's nothing wrong with experimentation around, especially
Absolutely
during these
not.
times.
Yeah, no, hey, experiment while you can. And this show was definitely very experimental. I'm very excited to see where it goes. Again, we're hyping up to it. But we also get a commercial for WWE ice cream bars. So CM Punk, where are you at?
I am going to every single grocery store in my area until I find those ice cream bars. I love those ice cream bars, and I want them. I want a box to eat, and I want a box that I'm going to freeze for the rest of my life and never get rid of the box.
Because it's going to be rare. It's going to be rare one day, and then it's going to expire.
Let me tell you, man, every time the ice cream truck comes around the area, I search all up and down that truck, look for those ice cream bars. They usually don't have it, but if they do, I snag one. But when I find out I don't, it's like, you know, just give me the Spider-Man pop.
Yeah, those Spider-Man pops are great. We also get a promo for next Sunday's Payback pay-per-view, which seems like a throwaway pay-per-view because it's the week after SummerSlam, but
yeah, but I'm excited for it now.
Me too. Yeah, definitely expect a podcast after Payback as well. But our next match is what, my friend?
Next up, we have Mandy Rose versus Sonya Deville in a no disqualification match. The original stipulation for this match was supposed to be hair versus hair, but unfortunately, being informed by some friends, unfortunately, I guess Sonya Deville ran into a stalker situation.
Yeah.
And now Deville needs to take some time off of WWE to deal with that. Whoever the scumbag is, I hope he gets thrown behind bars.
Me
Sonya
too.
Deville does not deserve that. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, cheer for your favorite wrestlers, boo the ones you don't like, but at the end of the day, these are human beings.
Yeah.
And regardless of how you feel about Sonya Deville as a wrestler, she does not deserve something like to happen to her. Again, I hope Deville is able to go off and solve whatever problems these are, because that sucks. So on the fly, on SmackDown, they changed the stipulation to loser leaves WWE, Rose versus Deville. This has been building up for a while. This is definitely a match I wasn't expecting to be on a pay-per-view of all things.
On SummerSlam, of all places. I mean, good for them. I've always felt like they were super underrated. I love them as a tag team, but like, I was not expecting this match to be on this show. And unlike, you know, Jeff Hardy versus AJ Styles, which was nowhere to be found on this pay-per-view, but anyway, stare down to start, some stiff shots from both. Mandy Rose has the upper hand for a lot of this early on. Like, she is beating the piss out of Sonya Deville on the outside.
Yeah, she does. And my issue with this match is they did some good stuff. It was just very awkward and poor in execution. Like, there's a point where they're fighting on the outside. Rose goes for a table, and she can't lift it up.
It's unfortunate. Yeah, no, one of my buddies kind of defended it on Twitter. Shout out to my buddy Luke, by the way. But he basically was like, Mandy Rose can deadlift 400 pounds. So what makes you guys think that she wasn't
that's
able
what
to
I was
lift up the
thinking.
table?
I'm like, isn't Rose like a bodybuilder? Doesn't she have like a background in that? So I'm just thinking like Rose can lift. You're a pro wrestler. You can lift. You can't lift a table or maybe. And then like the commentators even pointed out, I was like, oh yeah, Rose is having some troubles there with the table.
Yeah.
Like again, that's my main issue with this match. I thought they were good. I think Rose and Deville are very good workers. Just a lot of the spots were poor in execution. Rose throws a stiff knee. I'll give her that.
Oh, she really does. Yeah, she threw a bevy of those knees. Like,
oh yeah,
my goodness.
Rose is good. I if you ask me, do you like Mandy Rose? I will say yes, because she's not. I mean, she's one of those wrestlers. Like, she reminds me a lot of like the Iconics. Like, don't judge a book by its cover.
Right.
She looks like someone who doesn't put in the work, but she does. Trust me, she is one of the more dedicated wrestlers back there. She's definitely no Eva Marie.
Absolutely not. Way better than Eva Marie for sure. But Sonya Deville gets the upper hand. Mandy gets a table. Sonya Deville hits Mandy with a chair, and she has the upper hand for a second. Sonya Deville has a dragon sleeper on Mandy. I have not seen that move in a long time. So kudos to Sonya.
Don't forget, Deville has a background in MMA, so she's no slouch either.
Me and my buddy saw Sonya wrestle at an NXT house show back when she was still going under the name Daria Baronato in NXT, and she stole the show with Asuka. She was so good in that match. But I've always been, you were in the crowd for that too. Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah, that was good. I remember that match.
14.
The best section ever.
God. That
might go back when you go back to your college of San Jose State. I want you to walk into that arena. I want you to look at section 14 and know that there was greatness in that section.
Okay, so just a side note for those of you who are not aware, this is dating back to the NXT house show in 2016. Asuka was defending the NXT Women's title against Sonya Deville on that show, and I don't know why, but late into the show, Tomas's section that he was sitting in starts chanting for themselves. Now, granted,
to be fair, we were not disrespecting Asuka and Deville. We were disrespecting Blake and Murphy.
No, Blake and Murphy was earlier than that. I think you were starting to chant that during like Ember Moon and the Iconics.
Something we were. I feel like Blake and Murphy definitely got us off. Anywho, we were talking about Rose versus Deville, weren't we?
We were. I just had to clear the air for anybody that might have been confused by the Section 14. But I also have got to commend a really creative spot on the outside. Mandy Rose is throwing chairs at Sonya Deville on the outside, and those chairs are flying across that table like it's a freaking shuffleboard. I really like the look of that, actually. But the work here was just kind of like, I hate to say it because I really like both of them, but this was, I mean, it wasn't really anything spectacular.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is going to be a weird comparison. It reminds me of Karrion Kross and Keith Lee. Like, I wanted to like this match, but it's not that I hated it. It just didn't deliver.
Yeah.
And I feel like it didn't disappoint me like Lee and Kross did. I just felt like, okay, Rose and Deville, here's your chance, especially with Rose because they're pushing her as such a big babyface right now. Like, I could even see her facing Bayley in the near future.
Yeah, I could too.
Mandy Rose and Otis kind of had the feel-good moment of the year with SummerSlam, with Otis defeating Dolph Ziggler and Otis finally getting the girl.
And Otis actually did come out after the match too, but 3 straight Mandy running knees. Actually, it was 4, writing down on my notes. But that gets the 3 count. Sonya Deville loses it at ringside. I'm pretty sure she's going to be back within a couple months. She
give her some time. Maybe she'll show up on Raw.
She needs to take all the time she needs though with the given situation. But as far as the match goes, I gave the match 2 1/4 stars. This match was not terrible. Nobody went through the table though. They got on the table literally for no reason at all. It reminded me a lot of, this is going to be a weird comparison, but it reminded me a lot of the Dudley Boys versus the British Invasion from Victory Road 2009. The Dudley Boys brought out a table like just to distract the referee for a little bit for no reason, and neither member of the British Invasion went to the table, and it was a very disappointing match for that reason. But
I give the match 2 stars. It was nothing special, but nothing too harmful. Like, this is nothing I hated. This was, like you said, Otis ran out, and I swear Otis ran out there like he was going to cash in Money in the Bank.
Right? I was like, wait a minute.
And I got excited, but I had to remind myself this is not the Universal title match. This is going out there to congratulate Rose.
I was like, wait a minute. Is Mandy the Universal Champion suddenly? Did I miss something?
Okay, my mind must be like going crazy right now, but I was thinking like, Could you imagine if Rose would have lost and then Otis ran in there and said, no, take my briefcase just to save her job?
Oh, could you imagine? Yeah, that's a loophole in the Money in the Bank briefcase. But
that wasn't the case, though.
No.
Otis just went out there to celebrate. He did the Caterpillar.
And Mandy
Rose did the Caterpillar.
Mandy did the Caterpillar, which I was like, oh, how sweet. That's nice.
It was cute.
But this was
cute.
Relatively harmless match, but nothing special.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
But up next, this is a match that I was actually really looking forward to. The street fight, Seth Rollins versus Dominik Mysterio. And this is, in fact, the same Dominik Mysterio who 15 years ago at this same exact event, his custody was hanging above the ring as his father faced Eddie Guerrero in a tremendous ladder match at SummerSlam. And here he is.
Brought that up when Dominik was on his way to the ring.
Yeah.
15 years ago, he was involved with the SummerSlam, and here he is about to wrestle his first match.
The full circle. I am pulling so hard for Dominik Mysterio to succeed after this match. And even before this match, I feel like I was one of the only people who thought Dominik was actually going to win this match. Most of the predictions I saw actually had Seth Rollins going over, but I guess I was the only one that was like, oh, Dominik Mysterio.
I didn't think Dominik was going to lose. My mindset was kind of, considering the feud, you kind of have to have Dominik go over.
Yeah.
But to have him go over Rollins, of all people, that's a pretty big win, especially in the first match.
I feel like Seth Rollins would have definitely done the job for him if they asked him to, but
oh yeah,
Seth Rollins
is over though. All things considered,
Seth Rollins
in this match.
Seth Rollins, by the way, walks down to the ring, and his attire is akin to Rey Mysterio's Halloween Havoc 1997 attire. Again, when he faced Eddie Guerrero.
That was a great touch of detail right there.
Yeah, nice little homage.
Great. Yeah. But this match was very good.
It was. This match is one of the best debut matches, I think, ever. Not speaking in terms of memorability, because I'm pretty sure the John Cena debut match against Kurt Angle will be a lot more memorable than this match in all intents and purposes. But in terms of the in-ring stuff, Dominik Mysterio looked really good.
He did. I will still say Pat McAfee, Adam Cole was better, but this still was very good too.
Yeah, this is maybe a notch below the Pat McAfee match last night if I really had to rank them together. But this was, man, Dominik was pulling out arm drags early on, and I was like, man, this kid's got it.
He does. You gotta consider they're taking care of him at the Performance Center. They're making sure this kid has the training.
He would not have been put out on SummerSlam if he was green,
No,
it was
absolutely not.
And there were definitely
he's in there with someone who's going to take care of him too in Rollins.
And Seth Rollins looked so awesome in this match too. He was bumping like crazy for Dominik, making him look like $1 million. Dominik hits a drop kick. He gets a kendo stick. Actually, Murphy at ringside introduces the kendo stick after Seth asks him to. Yeah, but Seth Rollins goes for the buckle bomb, and I was really scared that he was going to actually hit that buckle bomb. But Dominik hit a great counter. Hurricane Rana Seth into the buckle instead. A really cool tornado DDT, and like I said, Seth Rollins was bumping like crazy for this kid. Oh, man, this match was awesome. Seth Rollins hits a Falcon Arrow, gets a 2 count, and this is where Seth starts torturing him with the stick, and this is where he starts trying to goad Rey Mysterio into stepping in. If you guys remember earlier on, I mentioned that Dominik asked Rey Mysterio to stay out of it.
Oh, yeah, and Rollins is doing some great stuff in this match. He's calling out Rey. He's saying, come on, Dad, come help your son. At one point starts calling him Papa, all this stuff.
Come on, Papa! Demon King!
Yeah, Rollins is good. Rollins was so good in this match. Torture starts beginning right there. At one point, Rey's wife and Dominik's mom, Angie, comes out to the entranceway, kind of to talk Rey out of, you got to go help your son. But Rey is conflicted at this point. At that point, that's when Rollins and Murphy decide to attack, and they handcuff Mysterio to the ropes. But this is after he decided to get involved. At this point, I was thinking, getting ahead of myself. He tries to take Dominik's eye out.
Yep. A nice little callback.
That's when when Rey went to go console his wife. That's when Murphy got involved. He tried to take Rey's eye out, And that's when Ray finally decided. And that's why I said earlier with, is Ray not allowed to even the odds? Because I think this is a perfect excuse for him to even the odds.
Oh, yeah. Rey Mysterio even the odds when they tried to pluck Dominic's eye out of his head, I guess, akin to last month at the horror show. But, like, we're also skipping over the fact that Dominic hit a Russian leg sweep through the table off the second rope, which would look like a really sick bump for both guys.
Oh, yeah.
And Dominic hits the frog splash, and I thought the match was over right there. Dominic hits the frog splash, and that's a really, really good false finish there. But yeah, to your point,
to not only his dad, but to Eddie as well.
Yep. And yeah, to your point, out comes Angie. Ray stops her. And actually, Dominic rolled up Seth Rollins while the parents were arguing on the ramp, and that was almost a 3 count. That was that close. Like, if Dominic had won with a roll up, like, I would not have been that surprised. But in any regard, Buddy Murphy gets involved. He teases the eye in the steps, and Rey Mysterio finally steps in, evens the odds. And to your point, Rey is handcuffed to the ropes. Kendo stick,
and then Rollins and Murphy turn their attention to Angie. This is where I started getting scared. I'm like, oh my god! Don't do anything to this poor woman.
I wonder what Becky Lynch thought of this.
Oh yeah, and that's at that point Dominic snaps, like the commentators say. Can you blame him? They're going after his mother now. Dominic is a house of fire. This is when he finally starts to snap back into this. Throws Rollins back into the ring. You think it's going to be over with another frog splash. Rollins puts up the knees.
Rollins puts up the knees on the frog splash. Dominic hit a couple 619s. Yep. And then, Seth has Dominic by the hair, and Ray is in the ring, like, trying to reach toward him, and Seth with the great line, "Reach, Daddy, reach!"
God.
I gotta work on my Seth Rollins impression to the viewers, so don't comment.
Pissant.
Exactly right, yeah. But Seth Rollins hits the curb stomp. That's a 3 count. I gave this match 4 stars. I'm being completely honest. This was an awesome match. One of the best debut matches of all time. This is the same rating that I gave the Pat McAfee match from last night, even though I thought it was better. But, man, what a weekend for debuts. Dominik Mysterio looked awesome, even in defeat.
Oh, yeah. I gave it a little notch below with the 3 3/4 stars. It was definitely a very good match. I'm very shocked that Rollins went over, to be perfectly honest. I'm shocked and not shocked at the same time. I feel like this just shows that the feud's not over. This might lead to Ray and Dominic versus Rollins in the cell. This may lead to Ray versus Rollins in the cell.
I think, this feud I think it's got to end with Rey Mysterio versus Seth Rollins one-on-one inside Hell in a Cell, and then maybe, like, Ray and Dominic go for the tag team titles at some point down the line, because that's where WWE is going with bringing Dominic in. They want to put the tag titles on father and son, but, like, honestly, regardless, like, sorry to cut you off, but, like, Dominic, I gotta really commend Dominic for this debut, because this was excellent. I cannot wait to see what else he does.
Oh yeah, he looked good. He looked very good in this match. The only point I was going to make is just I really commend WWE for stretching this feud out as long as they're able to. This started in May, I think.
Yeah.
And they were able to keep it off a couple pay-per-views, and then they did the eye versus eye for an eye match, and now they got this match, and I feel like they could stretch this out a couple more pay-per-views. I don't know.
They really
could. Do the tag team match at Payback. They really could do Dominic and Ray versus Rollins and Murphy at Payback.
Yeah.
They could, hold something off for Clash, and then, do something at Hell in a Cell.
Yeah. Like, long-term storytelling, that's what's been missing from WWE for a while. But, like, this has definitely been one of the top feuds of the year for sure. Rey Mysterio is distraught at the end. I mean, this was awesome emotion. This was such a great story between these two. Rey Mysterio hugs his son after the bell. Like, what a great moment in the ring for sure.
Oh, yeah.
But our next match after that, Raw Women's title, the second match of Asuka for the night as she challenges Sasha Banks. Again, reminder, wild card rule. Under wild card rules, Sasha Banks is a SmackDown star, but she's the Raw Women's champion. I am going to excuse it by saying she is one half of the women's tag team champions. I know.
And women's tag team champions are allowed to go on every show. So they did find a nasty little loophole there. At this point, I'm over it. She's Raw Women's Champion. I knew it wasn't going to last long. When did I tell you Banks is the queen of holding the title for 2 weeks?
She really was. But honestly, I'll give them credit where it's due. I did not like their match at Extreme Rules because of the way it was booked, but this match completely made up for that. This match was very good. I like this
Props
match.
to Asuka for pulling two good matches in the same night.
At least three and a half stars for both of these matches for sure. Asuka, I think, might have been the MVP of this pay-per-view. In all honesty, she was excellent here. Asuka with a knee bar on the outside. There was a really, really sick bump in this match too, where Sasha Banks goes for a spinning sunset flip powerbomb, and you could hear the thud as Asuka landed on the floor.
Oh yeah, that was definitely a nasty spot.
That was scary. Like, I thought Asuka had a concussion right then and there.
Yeah. This match was very fun, very back and forth.
Very good.
Jumping
match.
into my rating real quick, yeah, definitely 3.5 stars. It was just something. I think it was just because I think it went on a little longer, and just there was a little more. Banks and despite the shitty booking from last month's pay-per-view, I think Banks and Asuka have very good chemistry as well.
They really do. They really do. I mean, their chemistry dates back to the night after the Rumble 2018. They had an excellent match on Raw, one of the best matches on Raw that year, as a matter of fact. I mean, great transitions in this match, really innovative moves coming up. Impaler DDT by Asuka from the second rope for a really nice near fall. Asuka once again hits a missile dropkick. Sasha Banks hits Michael Cole's favorite move of all time, the Meteora for 2.
It's because you know why it's his favorite move, right?
Because Meteora!
It's the only one he knows.
Yep. Call back to whatchamacallit, the Extreme Rules. Yeah.
And just to remind everyone, the reason why I say that, nothing against Michael Cole, but he doesn't call out any moves, and then there's this one move that he knows, and he's like, oh, I know that move, so I'm going to say it very loud just to show everyone that I know what it means.
Yeah. But Asuka eventually, Sasha misses a frog splash. It's a great counter into the Asuka lock. Sasha Banks does that Bret Hart WrestleMania 8 roll through for a nice near fall right into the Banks statement. What a transition there. The finish of this match was really, really good. Great wrestling here.
Oh, yeah. This reminded me of Charlotte Flair versus Banks from SummerSlam 2016. Another very solid match with a lot of submission reversals and such.
This was solid. That match was solid. I thought this match was better than that, though, in all honesty.
Oh, yeah. And the finish for this match where Asuka is going for a flying hip attack, but this time Bayley does not repay the favor that Banks did. She moves out of the way. Banks gets hit. Bayley gets kicked off by Asuka. They go into their final sequence of Asuka lock and Banks statement. Asuka is able to keep the Asuka lock long enough to make Banks tap out. Asuka has regained the Raw Women's title.
Thank God.
I'm ecstatic. Yeah, I'm ecstatic.
God.
I'm glad Asuka got that title back. I want her to run with it on Raw.
Yeah.
There's so many possibilities she can do on Raw. There's a lot of women that could look good with the match with Asuka.
Shayna Baszler. Yeah.
Right?
But in any regard, this was a 4-star match. Another one on this show for me. This is by far the best match of their series this year. It's definitely a very good match. Great wrestling throughout. Definitely the right person going over here. Tension between Sasha and Bayley. Maybe a bad omen for Payback next week for their tag title match. But
oh yeah, they're dropping those tag team titles. Whoever they're facing, I don't care if they drop it back to the Iconics.
Yeah,
I don't think Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss are a thing anymore. But
personally, I'd love to see Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan beat them for the titles next week. But I don't know.
We'll see who they're even defending the titles against.
Yeah, it could be Tegan Nox and Shotzi Blackheart, who I love. But I mean,
whoever it is, they're dropping those titles.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
time to get the.
What would you
teasing?
What would you rate the match?
The match, 3 3/4 stars.
Okay, cool.
Definitely very solid. Just to think, they've been teasing Bayley and Sasha Banks for 3 years now.
Mm-hmm.
It's time to finally pull that trigger.
More than that.
I think SmackDown could benefit from having a very babyface star. Like, I feel like they're very lacking right now. And as much as I love Sasha Banks as a heel, if you gotta turn someone facing that team, it's got to be Banks, just because Bayley's doing so well as a heel. Like, I'd hate for her to just drop that all and go back.
Yeah, me too. It's It's definitely going to be very interesting to see where this goes. Speaking of interesting, what is our next match, my friend?
The next match is the highly anticipated WWE Championship match. Drew McIntyre defends against Randy Orton. I'm shocked that this match didn't close the show, but at the same time, I'm not, and we'll get into that later.
We'll get into why.
One thing I noticed, I thought it was really cool that Drew McIntyre came out. He looked at the camera and said, "This is pretty damn cool," referring to the Thunderdome.
See, Drew McIntyre is one of my favorite guys on the roster. He is the goddamn face of the company right now, and nobody's even close to him. Like, Drew McIntyre has connected with us on a completely different level when we absolutely have needed it.
Oh, yeah.
I cannot wait to show my support for him, whether or not it's in the Thunderdome or at the next live show. Maybe if WrestleMania is allowed to go on at SoFi Stadium in March, I will definitely be there to cheer him on. But Randall Keith Orton, this was definitely the most unpredictable match of the entire card for me. This really could have gone either way. Randall Keith Orton is looking for his 14th world title, and I love the old school Orton pyro when he does the pose on the turnbuckle. Like, it brought me back to childhood.
Oh, yeah. And one thing about this match, I'll say from the start, it screamed SummerSlam main event.
Yes.
The pacing was very good. The big enough stars. The stars were in the marquee. This match, if the fans could have been there, there should have been a Fight Forever chant because these guys put on quite a good show.
Dude, this was so intense. This was my match of the night, personally. Randy Orton immediately rolls outside when the bell rings. He's got the mind games, Maggle. But Drew McIntyre is standing in the ring. You know, he knows Orton's game. So he's just standing there with his hands behind his back. He's very polite, waiting for Orton to get back in the ring. And I'm like, Drew's really funny. You know, like, he's really intense, but he can be really funny sometimes, too. Like, I think that's a really underrated quality that he has. But
oh, yeah, absolutely. And considering how serious the match he's in right now, the fact that he's like, you know what, I'm not going to let you get in my head. I'm just going to stand here very politely with my hands behind my back and wait for you to get back in this ring so we can resume our match. Oh.
And, yeah, once they do get back in the ring, man, was it intense. Randy Orton must have tried the RKO at least 4 different times in this match.
One thing I really liked about this match is that there was not a bunch of false finishes with finishers.
Yep.
You know, I think the only thing Orton kicked out of was the Future Shock DDT, which, let's admit, that has not been McIntyre's finisher for like 10 years now.
It's been the Claymore, but we did not see a Claymore in this match. Spoiler alert. Drew McIntyre is pummeling Randy Orton in the corner. Drew McIntyre eventually gets his shoulder posted, and he's selling that arm. He sells it really well. Like, Drew McIntyre, and same goes with Randy Orton also. The selling in this match was so unbelievable. Like, I could tell both of these guys were in agony throughout. They both ended up bleeding a little bit in the match as well.
Oh, yeah, and that's when the spot comes up. Drew McIntyre puts Randy Orton in the figure 4 leg lock.
Yeah.
For a very long time, Orton pulls the referee out of obstruction and sticks a thumb in McIntyre's eye. And, you know, in wrestling, you got to take, you know, things with a grain of salt. And you don't think much of a thumb to the eye, but this thumb to the eye was enough to make McIntyre's eye bleed.
Yep. Yeah. Drew McIntyre was bleeding from the face, like right on the crook of the nose, if anything. Maybe it was from the eye. I'm not sure. But I also wrote down this is not an eye for an eye match. Why is Randy Orton going for the eye? But anyway, you know, like, I don't want to go into the eye for an eye match. But
props to the guy at the Performance Center when Drew McIntyre said, "I'm going to decide the stipulation for his match with Dolph Ziggler," who yelled out "eye for an eye match."
Yes. Oh, man.
Guy. Whoever he deserves a raise.
He really does. You took the words right out of my mouth. He deserves, like, all the money in the world for sure. Randy Orton taunting to the crowd. There's a really nice counter by Drew McIntyre into a knee breaker at one point. And then Randy Orton in return kicks Drew's knee. Both guys are selling their knees. Drew's got a bum shoulder. This is a very physical match. Drew hits a big spine buster. And absolutely to your point, Drew is in that figure 4, and Randy Orton is in agony. He's in that hold for quite a while. But the getting out of that figure 4 laid lock also, Randy Orton pulls away attention from the referee. And to your point, thumb to the eye. Drew McIntyre nails Orton with a chop, and I wrote down a direct quote. "The thunder rolls," and I wrote down, "Shut up, Tom Phillips."
Exactly. I'm surprised Tom Phillips didn't follow that up saying, the Thunder rolls in the Thunderdome.
Drink.
Exactly.
You got to take a few shots.
It's
of
H2O,
water
ladies and gentlemen. Don't drink and podcast.
Yep, I've got water now. But yeah, Randy Orton is hitting really hard European uppercuts. This is a very intense match for sure. Another RKO attempt is countered into 2 straight belly to bellies by McIntyre, and I wrote down Drew McIntyre's damn agility is so unreal.
Oh yeah, the way he's a 7-foot man and the way he nips up is beautiful.
Man.
The way he hits that future shock DDT so quick. He is an athlete in every sense of the word.
So majestic, yeah. But to your point, Drew McIntyre pulls out the future shock for this match and gets a near fall. Misses his flying clothesline, which he hit earlier on in the match, and Randy Orton hits that really crisp but beautiful power slam for another 2. Orton goes for the Roppongi DDT, countered into the Glasgow Kiss, and it's a Foley clothesline. Both guys are out of the ring now.
This is the point of the match where I got scared. I got scared that 1, it was going to go to a double count out.
Oh,
2,
God.
I was like, where's Retribution? They're coming. They're coming.
You know what?
Now.
Yeah. I agree with you. Thank God there was no double count out, and thank God there was no Retribution to stop this match. Randy Orton finally does hit the Roppongi DDT for a near fall, and this is when he starts hearing voices inside his head. They counsel him. He understands. He's slithering to him. They talk to him. Yeah. Randy Orton goes for the punt kick. Drew McIntyre counters it into a really beautiful powerbomb. Then he goes for the Claymore, misses it. Orton goes for the RKO, which is countered into a backslide by Drew. And that gets a 3 count. A backslide by Drew McIntyre catches Randy Orton by surprise. Drew McIntyre retains the title. I was very surprised, but very happy to see that.
Oh, yeah, me too. It was definitely a sigh of relief because I knew a lot of people were going into this. I feel like I was in the minority saying they wanted Drew McIntyre to retain. I don't want Drew McIntyre to drop this title.
Me neither.
I don't care if it takes 2 years for us to get crowds back. I want McIntyre to be champion when we can go to a live show again.
Me
too. He has earned it. He deserves it. Like you said, he is the face of the company. He needs to be the baby face of this company going forward for a very long time.
Yeah.
And I don't want him, nothing against Randy Orton. I don't want him to drop it to Randy Orton, who has held the title 13 times.
But at the same time, Randy Orton is riding one of the biggest waves of momentum of his entire career, maybe like since the age of Orton, in all honesty. Like, I would not have been shocked if he had won his 14th world title here, but I don't think this feud is over by any stretch of the imagination. I feel like they're going to have another match. Maybe not at Payback, but definitely at the Clash of Champions for sure.
Hopefully it's not as underwhelming as Kofi Kingston and Randy Orton was at last year's Clash.
That's right. Yeah. No, this is the second year in a row, actually, where Randy Orton has been unsuccessful in winning the WWE title at SummerSlam. Just bad luck on his part. But I gave the match 4.25 stars. This was an excellent WWE title match. My match of the night for sure. Definitely could have gone either way. I was definitely very happy with this outcome, though, for sure. I would have been happy with either one, in all honesty. But
oh, yeah. 4 stars for me. This is just great. Drew McIntyre has been the most consistent worker other than like an AJ Styles.
He really has.
For these past 6-7 months. I don't want Drew McIntyre to drop this title.
Me neither.
That may be in the market of me speaking, but keep the Glasgow train going.
Me too.
Keep it going.
Me too. Drew's the man. Drew's the man. I love you, Drew.
Yeah.
And Lauren,
just to think.
And Lauren loves your cats also.
I'll have to take a look at Drew McIntyre's cats.
Yeah, his cats are adorable.
And just to think that this pay-per-view couldn't get any better. The main event of the evening.
Yep.
Am I skipping over something?
Keith Lee is debuting on Raw tomorrow.
Keith Lee is debuting on Raw tomorrow. Did we call that, or did we call that?
We called him debuting on SmackDown, but after what happens in this main event coming up. But yeah, Keith Lee loses the NXT Championship at TakeOver. And here he is debuting on Raw the night after SummerSlam. I could not be happier for this guy. I can't wait to see what he does on the main roster.
And with that being said, we obviously know that Tommaso Ciampa and Karrion Kross is going to be going on with NXT. It's like,
piecing it together.
WWE, they actually have some long-term plans going into the rest of the year. It's pretty refreshing.
They definitely do. Have to take a swig of water there before we talk a lot about this next match, which is what?
The Universal, I'm in 2002 mode. Universal Championship is on the line. The Fiend is challenging Braun Strowman. What a wild, wild ride this has been going into this. If you want to take the realms, tell us how we got to this point.
Yeah, so this has been dating back basically since after WrestleMania. Braun Strowman became the Universal Champion. Firefly Funhouse, Bray Wyatt calls him out. Strowman beats him at Money in the Bank. And that leads to the Wyatt Swamp fight last month at the Horror Show, which, if you remember, I graded 3 3/4 stars. I'm kind of regretting that choice now, in hindsight. But in any case, it's leading up to finally the third face of Wyatt, the Fiend, showing up at SummerSlam for this Universal title match, which, by the way, is False Count Anywhere. And what an entrance for the Fiend.
Don't forget, heading into this match, the Fiend is playing a lot of mind games with Braun Strowman at this point. He is trying to tease to him like, oh, don't forget about your little girlfriend, Alexa Bliss. I know you like her. I guess the Fiend has just messed with Braun Strowman's mind to the point where Strowman comes back with a bald new, I can't even call it a hairstyle. He is bald now.
And he press slams Alexa Bliss. So clearly, clearly he's the heel, right?
Yeah and no, because the Fiend is still the Fiend.
The Fiend, people were cheering the Fiend. Like, the crowd noise that was, like, piping into the Thunderdome drink, they were cheering the Fiend. And they were, like, I heard mostly boos for Braun Strowman. So, he has to be the heel.
It's weird right now. I don't see the Fiend as a face.
I love it, though. It's a nice little shakeup, and people were cheering the Fiend anyway.
Considering how the match went, it was pretty both superstars were able to get their heat. So it's just like, it's really hard to tell who is the heel right now. At the end of this match, it's even harder to tell who's the heel right now.
It's a freaking car wreck, this match is. The Fiend, Braun Strowman has a very quick start, and the Fiend is laughing at him. The Fiend hits a Uranagi. He twists Braun Strowman's neck twice, which in real life should kill a man. But obviously it doesn't here.
Is weird. Now they're trying to say he's not snapping his neck. They're saying he's trying to rip his head off. Which it doesn't work. I liked it when he first did it to Finn Balor, but it's just like, you can't pretend to snap someone's neck if you don't actually kill him.
Right. Yeah, this
isn't Tag Team Apocalypto where Abyss took a brick and killed someone with it.
Yeah. But the Fiend also takes out a toolbox. Call back to the shitty Hell in a Cell match that he had with Seth Rollins last year, where Seth Rollins brought out the toolbox. But the Fiend starts taking apart the announce desk as well. Braun Strowman very stiff. He plows the Fiend through the barricade like a freaking locomotive, and the Fiend pops right back up. The Fiend is awesome.
Followed by that, Strowman chokeslams Fiend on the announce table, and that was a nasty looking spot. The table did not break.
Sick landing.
Fiend's spine bent across the outer edge of the table. That didn't look fun. When the table breaks, that is for the wrestler. If the table does not break, we all die a little inside.
Yeah.
Especially the person who gets planted.
And lo and behold, Bray Wyatt gets right back up from that chokeslam. Braun Strowman gets out the steel steps, hits the Fiend right in the goddamn head with it. Braun Strowman hits a running power slam. Of course, that's a near fall. To the entranceway, they're starting to use the LED screens, and they're going backstage into the gorilla position, which we see a lot on WWE 24. Sister Abigail by the Fiend in the gorilla position, which is a sentence I never thought I would say in my life.
Exactly. Nice to see Gorilla back.
Right?
Nice to see more familiar set pieces from WWE. And one thing,
that was close, Gorilla.
Yeah, one thing I'm realizing Thunderdome-wise, I'm like, for the people who get the feed, are they just looking at an empty ring at this point? Or if it was me, I would want to be my view, but I'm going to have the show playing in the background just in case something goes wrong.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was funny. It made me think of you at Payback watching House of Horrors.
Oh, God. Yeah, that was... I don't want to think about that right now. But, the Fiend starts gouging into Braun Strowman's eyes. This is also not an eye for an eye match. What is up with everybody right now?
They got to go for those eyes, man.
Like, I don't get it. Like, you had the stipulation at one show, and now you're just gouging at people's eyes. Like, yeah. But Braun Strowman into the LEDs. I noticed that Braun Strowman was bleeding, like, on his dome a little bit up here.
Oh, yeah, there was a nice little gash there.
Yeah,
That did not look, Strowman's fault for shaving his head bald. Or, I mean, bad luck for him for shaving his head bald.
But yeah, Braun Strowman ends up blocking the mandible claw. He goozles the Fiend. He throws him into the LEDs. Corey Graves had a really great call in this match, comparing it akin to like Godzilla versus King Kong. That's exactly how this match felt. You know, it was a battle of the monsters. It was a train wreck in the best way possible. They were tearing up ringside everywhere. Another another running power slam, another close 2 count. Man,
Strowman then heads out to the ring, goes back into that toolbox, and reveals a box cutter.
I was so scared at this point.
Oh, yeah. A million thoughts start going through your mind. I'm like, we're going to start getting horror movie up in here. Is Strowman going to start cutting up the Fiend with it? No. This is pro wrestling, remember? And Strowman starts cutting up the ring. Mm-hmm. And for everybody out there that doesn't know what a ring is made out of, yes, there is a layer of foam, but it's a very thin layer of foam. And underneath that foam is wood.
Yes.
So Strowman goes to expose the wood.
Really hard plywood.
This backfires on him tremendously, though, because the Fiend is able to spring up, hit a Sister Abigail, gets him right back up, hits another Sister Abigail, pins him for the 1-2-3. The Fiend is the new Universal Champion.
Yeah, baby!
He does not get much time to celebrate at all. He goes, boom, out of nowhere, Roman Reigns returns to the WWE. And at this point, I said, holy shit.
I jumped out of my seat when that moment happened, for sure. And we'll talk in detail about it. But real quick, the ending of this match, 3 count, the Fiend is the new Universal Champion. This was the 3 3/4 star match that I was looking for out of these two. This was a train wreck. Predictable winner, though. Finally vindication for the Fiend from getting embarrassed by Goldberg when he definitely shouldn't have. But the Fiend is the new Universal Champion. But to your point, Roman Reigns out of nowhere with a spear on the Fiend.
So to catch everybody up, if they haven't been paying attention too much to the news, we don't really like bringing this up on this channel, but we need to for sake of explaining this. We are in a pandemic right now, and if you remember, Roman Reigns is a cancer survivor. He is a 2-time survivor, the 2-time undisputed champion of defeating leukemia. And heading into his WrestleMania match against Goldberg, Roman Reigns opted, which, was very admirable of him, opted out of the match to protect himself at the beginning of this pandemic.
Yeah.
And reports were saying that he was not going to come back until this pandemic was over, which, as we know, we do not know when that's going to be. And as much as me personally, I miss Roman Reigns, I would much rather him stay home and keep himself safe than put himself into danger. So when you're in the mindset of you don't expect someone to come back, this was very shocking to see Roman Reigns return.
This was definitely a mark out moment for sure. I didn't even realize how much I missed Roman Reigns. And I mean, not only to keep himself safe, but also his family safe. Cause if you read on the dirt sheets, they revealed that his wife just gave birth to their second set of twins, which congratulations to them, by the way. That's awesome.
Yeah. So props to Reigns for taking 6 months off. I am so happy to see him back.
Me too.
He looks good. He looks so freaking good.
And you know what? It looks like the marks finally got what they wanted because Roman Reigns looks like the top heel in the promotion right now.
Not necessarily. And I'm going to go into this.
Are you sure?
Reigns hits the spear on Fiend, beats down the Fiend, goes to the outside, spears Strowman, takes a steel chair, beats the holy hell out of him. And the whole time he is doing this, he is screaming at both Strowman and Fiend, this was my title. You had no right to have this. This was always my title. He goes back into the ring, spears the Fiend, and says, you are just a freak with a mask. And at this point, if Reigns is the heel, then what does that make the Fiend? If Fiend's the heel, what does that make Strowman? We have our top 3 stars on SmackDown right now, and we don't know who the face or the heel is.
Okay. So you just said the line that Roman Reigns was saying to, both guys. He says, I made you to Braun Strowman, which sounds very condescending in the tone that he had. And he also says, with the Universal belt in his hands, this is mine. I let you guys have this, and I've come back for it. To me,
that comes off as to Strowman, I left. You would not be the Universal Champion if I didn't leave. Because remember, it was supposed to be Roman Reigns versus Goldberg at WrestleMania, not Braun Strowman versus Goldberg. And the only reason that, it's obviously Strowman deserved the title, but if Reigns never left, Reigns would be the Universal Champion right now.
Yeah. So
if anything, if this doesn't mean Reigns is turning heel, if anything, this is just a grittier version of him, which honestly is welcome.
This is a very fresh version of Roman Reigns, at least. But if he's not the heel, then why would he deliver those lines like that then?
That's a very good question. And like I said, our top 3 stars on SmackDown right now, we don't know what they are.
I think
Fiend could be the face, and Reigns and Strowman could be the heels. Reigns could be the face, and Strowman and Fiend could be the heels. Fiend and those are the only 2 ways I could look at it right now. Hell, they could throw us a curveball and say Fiend and Strowman are the faces.
I think it was very clear that Braun Strowman was the heel in this match, and the Fiend was working babyface in this match. But I mean,
I guess it's hard. I guess it's hard to tell when there's no crowd.
Nevertheless, I mean, like, oh man, this is going to be a very polarizing reaction. People are going to have a lot to say about it. What do you guys think Roman Reigns is right now? Is he a face still, or is he a heel? I think he's a heel, which seems very hard to believe because of his past. He beat leukemia twice, but this is a very fresh version of Roman Reigns. I can't wait to see what's next for him. What do you guys think Roman Reigns is? I'd like to know down in the comments below, but my God, I'm so happy.
Yeah.
I'm so happy to see him back.
Exactly. Regardless if he's a face or a heel, I'm so happy to see him back.
Yeah.
SmackDown and WWE as a whole has been missing. And we all know how much of a locker room leader he is and how much he has been adored lately, especially with his recent run. A lot of fans, I feel like, have eased up on him, and rightfully so. WWE, I just felt like there's been a Superman punch size silhouette in the WWE.
Yeah,
and Roman Reigns is back. And didn't you have a certain GIF you wanted to show us?
Oh, yes, I did. Yeah, let me pull it up real quick. But what would you rate the match while I pull it up?
Oh, kind of opposite of you. I like the match. I just felt like it was pretty predictable and pretty standard. I give it 2 3/4 stars. Not because it was a bad match. I'm not saying it was a bad match. I just feel like it served its purpose, and it was predictable.
Okay.
Not a 2 3/4 stars that it was bad. Just 2 3/4 stars that I feel like it served its purpose.
Okay.
And let's just say if Roman Reigns did not come out at the end, I just would say it was your standard main event.
Yeah. This was.
And let's just say when Roman Reigns
changer.
hit the spear, I was kind of expecting Otis. But at the same time, when it faded to black, I was like, you know what? We can only handle one surprise at a time.
Yeah.
We can't handle both Roman Reigns returning and Otis cashing in at the same time.
Right.
And now that Roman Reigns is around, when do you have Otis cash in?
I mean,
if Roman Reigns is the heel, if you have Otis cash in, Reigns is going to rip Otis apart.
This is what a lot of fans tend to forget about the Money in the Bank briefcase lately, and Brock Lesnar definitely forgot about it last year. I got a year to cash in.
So yeah, there's time.
Funniest Brock Lesnar line I can remember for a while. I got a year, but in any regard,
Otis has time.
This is the GIF I was talking about.
This is his yard now.
It's not playing. There we go. Yep. I think this is a heel Roman Reigns.
SmackDown is Roman Reigns' yard.
It is his yard. He's come back he's the big dog that runs the yard, or as Michael Cole says, here comes the big dog.
So I'm very looking forward to SmackDown. I'm very looking
Me
forward
too.
to see what kind of demeanor Roman Reigns has. I'm even down for a tweener Roman. Not saying he couldn't do that.
I'm down for a man on a mission type Roman where you can't exactly tell if he's a face or a heel. I don't really know, if you could turn Roman Reigns, full heel. I mean, you could. He definitely played the heel role very well tonight. But, considering his past, it's, it's very hard to, boo him now,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
In any regard.
Overall, this SummerSlam, I would give an 8 out of 10. Again, this was such a breath of fresh air. This was so much fun to watch.
Okay.
And it's the most genuine reaction I've had to a wrestling show in a very long time that I'm looking forward. The future's looking bright.
I gave this show a 9 out of 10. This show
Very
was
fair.
excellent from top to bottom. I mean, you can't really complain too much. This was the biggest party of the summer. It felt like a SummerSlam. It felt like a big deal. Man, I'm excited to see where this goes next. I'm excited for Payback next week. I'm excited for Clash of Champions. I'm excited for every single show coming up, through the rest of the year. I can't wait to see what they do with this Thunderdome. But, yeah, do you have any final thoughts about SummerSlam, my friend?
Basically, that's all I got for now. It was fun, and it's the most fun I've had in a very long time.
Man.
And, yeah.
I'm beat.
So looking forward.
I'm beat, man. Yeah, but thank you.
In a good way, though.
Yeah, thank you again for joining me, my friend, and expect him.
Absolutely.
Expect him back next week for Payback. And yeah, expect more excellent, or I don't know if this is like excellent coverage. I don't want to be like too like this is the best coverage, but yeah, expect more fun coverage on this channel.
Yeah,
all
to
things
quote
wrestling.
My favorite my favorite YouTuber on wrestling, Good Mike Word Commentaries. There's a lot of SummerSlam right now. Thanks for clicking on us. Thanks for listening to our podcast. We appreciate it.
Yeah, much appreciated. If you're new here, I need you guys to hit that subscribe button down below as hard as you possibly can. Leave a thumbs up on the video by the end if you enjoyed it. I'm also curious, what did you guys think of SummerSlam? What was your favorite match? What do you guys think is going to happen going forward? Hit those comments down below with all of your thoughts. I'm sure Tomas and I would be game to talk wrestling with you guys. But with that being said, thank you all once again for joining me. Look forward to more fun content very soon. And with all that being said, Back Talk, commence.